So even if MPC Sample is primarily intended as a portable device for sampling, a lot of us want to be able to add our own melodic parts using keyboards. And this cute little baby MPC doesn't really provide a super straightforward way to do this. But it's still possible, and this is a follow-up to my first MPC Sample video, and I'm going to explain step by step how to use an iPhone or iPad as a sound module alongside MPC Sample to augment your sample-based beats, and hey, without being hyperbolic. This enables you to get to a whole new level for your compositions as opposed to just straight up using samples. So there are several variations of this kind of setup depending on the kind of iOS device you're using, and it may work on Android, but it probably depends on the exact kind of device you have. While with iOS everything works pretty consistently, and unfortunately you can't just plug in a keyboard into the MPC and play a sample chromatically. Also, it only has just a single track, so you can't really sequence an external sound module the traditional way, because the MIDI events that you record with your keyboard will get mixed with the ones that trigger your drums and samples inside the MPC, and it's just gonna be a whole mess. But hey, we can still make it work, and with a portable device like MPC Sample, an iPhone, and a Bluetooth keyboard, such as this one, the Sinido Tempo Key W25, just makes the most sense to minimize cable clutter and just retain the portability. But you can totally use a wired keyboard, it will work just fine. But whatever you do, you will need some sort of device for a sound source, and preferably one that has its own sequencer for better flexibility. I'm using the Korg Gadget app on the iPhone, or actually we're going to be using the iPad today. So essentially we're going to be syncing the two sequencers, Gadget sequencer and MPC sequencer. And also, since there are obviously no audio tracks on MPC Sample, you will need to record your parts as samples and then trigger them with the MPC sequencer if you want all your sounds to be saved inside the MPC project. And sure, you can just play and record the audio straight to MPC without messing around syncing to sequencers, but I'll explain why I don't prefer this approach. And so if your iOS device has a USB-C connection, you will only need this one cable. You don't need anything else. Just connect it to MPC Sample, you're done. And if you're using an older iPhone or iPad with the old Lightning port, you will then need this Lightning to USB 3 adapter, this one. And you will also need the Lightning cable to connect it to a charger. So this setup is way less slick than the USB-C one, but it still works totally fine. Also, if you don't have a Bluetooth keyboard, just use a basic USB hub. It doesn't even need to be a powered hub. And so this will allow you to connect both MPC and a wired USB MIDI keyboard to your iPhone or iPad. So the USB connection will allow MPC to receive audio from your iOS app, in this case Korg Gadget, and also sync the MPC sequencer to the sequencer of Gadget. Okay, so now that we've connected everything, let's go over the settings. Shift plus pad 8 is MIDI config. So what we need to do here is make sure MIDI port, the first setting, is set to USB. Then we scroll down, pad MIDI out should be set to never, because we don't want the MIDI notes that we record for our drums or samples to trigger our synths as well. And also, MIDI sync out should be set to MIDI cloak, MIDI sync in should be off. And yes, MPC does have MIDI through, so you can connect the keyboard straight to the MPC, but there really is no benefit to doing that in this case. Okay, so let's set up Korg Gadget, and if you're using a different app, you just have to figure out where these settings are on your own app. But first we gotta make sure that our Bluetooth keyboard is paired. And again, if you're using a wired keyboard, you just plug it and it works right away. Then we have to set the MIDI sync of the app to external. This is up here in this settings menu. MIDI sync sets to external. So now when I press play on the MPC, Gadget starts playing as well, and the sequencers are in sync. And also to be able to hear what we're playing, we need to go to Shift, Input Config, make sure source is set to USB, and we turn monitor on. So this was pretty much it. I know it takes some work, but you only need to do this once, and now we're ready to record. I've chopped up this chord progression from my sample pack, The Heat, and I've got some nice drums that I've put together with the MPC stock samples. And we need a bass line. The cool thing about this approach is that it lets us have counting. We have to make sure it's enabled though. Shift plus pad 4. To take advantage of counting, we're going to press sequence record on MPC sequencer, even if we are not going to be actually recording to the MPC. Remember, our keyboard isn't even connected to the MPC. We're recording MIDI straight to the phone app. So my sequence on the MPC is 4 bars, and I'm just going to set the length in Core Gadgets to be 4 bars as well. Also, I'm just going to disable quantize here, and then I just press record on Gadget sequencer, and it's not going to start playing until I start MPC sequencer. And of course, you can leave it as MIDI on the app, but then you will need to open this project on the app every time you want to play the project on the MPC, otherwise the keyboard parts will be missing. So let's say we're happy with what we've recorded. Let's go to Sample Record. Set the record length to sequence, where it says sec. Extremely important. This enables MPC to automatically record the audio to be the same length as the sequence, so this makes it really easy to sync the recording. If this option wasn't available, we would be struggling. Obviously, Akai included this to make sure recording external instruments is actually viable. So now we're going to play our sequence, and as it's playing, we're going to hit the pad we want to record our keyboard part to. And it says waiting for a loop, so it will start recording after the sequence loops and starts from the beginning. So now that it's recorded as a sample inside the MPC, let's mute the track on Gadget. On MPC, we just press sequence record, and just press the pad right on the one to put it here on the MPC sequencer. And as I said, you can totally record straight to the MPC as samples and skip most of this MIDI syncing setup. However, as you notice, to make sure it's all perfectly synced, you have to wait for the sequence to loop before it starts recording. And let's say you make a mistake, you have to wait for 4, 8, 16 or 32 bars or however many to loop every time you want to retry the recording. While with this external sequencer setup, you can stop and retry immediately. And if it's a small mistake, you can just edit it on your mobile device screen. So I'd say this setup is totally worth it. And with a phone and with a small keyboard like this one, it is super, super portable.